What's up, B? Derek? I stared at the receiver and looked over at the clock. 6:15 p.m. What's up with you tonight? I have a rehearsal tonight. Until how late? 10? You coming home afterwards? That's the plan. Let me come through and see you. I sank down on the couch and put my bag down. I was on my way out of the door. It's a call I could have easily missed. Where have you been? I heard myself say it and sound like one of those girls. Around, he was dry. There was a brief silence. You know where to find me. You just haven't been looking, he continued. Right, yeah, that's been the problem. Billy, we haven't talked in a while, and I thought I'd call my girl and see what was up with you. If you don't want to see me, that's cool. I paused. I do. I'll be by then after tea. All right. I hung up and headed out to rehearsal. It was a tech rehearsal, and I was anxious to see my costumes. But the thought of being snatched back into my old world of Derek was putting a damper on me. I didn't know if I was relieved to finally hear from him or angry. 2 months. He pulled the classic guy move of turning the situation around on me. He knew I couldn't call him. It was his job to call me. But I couldn't let it go. I wanted to see him badly. I went to the theater, down to the green room in the basement to look over the costume. The crew was there to help us find our costumes on the racks. My character's first look was a thin, silky, white nightie. I immediately looked at the crew member and said, I'll be half naked in this. Oh no, you won't be able to see through it. At least I don't think you will. But we'll see tonight, under the lights how naked you are. She went on about talking and slamming him on another dress. My first monologue opened the show and was down center in the naked nightgown. I walked on stage barefoot and waited while the voices in the dark theater decided if I was too naked or just naked enough. Can she have something on underneath that? It was Proctor's voice. I can put a little black slip underneath it. That should do it. The costume designer's voice. I could hear him making a note in his book. I wondered if it said, too naked. Okay, Billy, next. Proctor yelled. I left the stage and changed into my next outfit, which, thank God, included clothes. By the time the night was over, we'd run a little long and it was 10:30 when we were done. I didn't want to rush, but I couldn't help driving a little fast on the way home. Not long after I got home, the doorbell rang. Hey, girl, Derek said, give me a hug. Derek motioned for me. I gave him a hug. He still smelled like powder and fresh cotton. We went back to my room. Listen up with me. He spoke as he closed my door behind him. Working in rehearsal. That's cool. I can really see you in the theater. I think that's a nice move for you. He relaxed on my bed. As I stared at him on and I played all the movies. So who told you about my play? It's a small campus and I'm up on you. He smiled. Up on me, huh? I couldn't help a small smile that sneaked out of the corner of my mouth. What's new with you? Well, it looks like I'll be leaving soon. Leaving? Leaving where? Leaving school? Yeah, I got some family things up back home and I'm gonna have to go home after this semester. I may be back later, but I'm going home in December. He dropped a bomb on me like he was telling me he would choose the Black Sox over the Brown. I was quiet for a moment. Wow, leaving? I was dumbstruck. Leaving, love, he said, and I decided to ignore his calling me love. I wish I knew what to say. I hate to see you go. Campus without Derek. I kept trying to imagine it. I couldn't. Are you going to miss me? I was so happy to see that smile, that slight gentleman southern accent that break on his words like a hazy gray moss. Like crazy. He kissed me. He's the devil. He picked at every weak point I had, and still charmingly enough that I couldn't resist. He always gave me enough. Just enough. Just enough of his face that I wasn't sick of seeing it. Just enough to make me jealous, but not too much that he could explain it away. He was just the right amount of pain so that it still felt good. The night was slow and it was starting to rain. Maybe God watches us and knows when it should rain. It rained all night and it thundered and tapped on the windows. He kissed me softly. What on earth was this feeling I had for him? You can't love somebody you don't have, can you? It was not the having, it was the wanting. It was the absence that made his presence glow. I realized something lying there in Dchristy's arms. He was worse than wrong. He was worse because he was after my heart. Derek wanted the last piece of the set. He had waited very patiently. He waited for Vaughn to release all my bruised and broken pieces, and he was right there to collect them. They were more than hunters, they were collectors. Derek had bided his time, sneaking the discarded pieces, picking them up as I stared elsewhere to the moon. He collected all of myself. He had all now but one, the most dangerous piece of all. Most men would stop at herself. Actually, most men would stop at her vagina, leave that sharp-edged, sparkling red glass in its case behind the ribs. But he was not most men. He wanted to break in past the guards, under the red beams of light shining from my eyes, slip inside my rib cage and retrieve my heart from its core. He wanted to put it in his trophy case next to whoever else's carefully guarded heart he had stolen. Just then I knew there was no way I could be a man. Love was woman's burden. Adam's son spent generation after generation trying to retrieve that rib given without his consent.
That's right.
The price for having his rib? He'd take it back and have my heart too. I knew my quest to be like a man, to make love like a man, was futile. There was nothing for me to take from him except my own pleasure. It was the emptiness that ached. He was still holding me when I figured this out all too late. Holding me all night. The steady heat and scent of his body had slowly, ever so slowly, melted the ice protecting me. My heart was in his hands. In his arms I was trapped. So trapped, I didn't even own the piece of myself that had the will to resist. Oh, he'd be inside me long after his presence had grown vast like the ocean. I kissed his fingers laced over my chest and released my eyelids to close. That night I dreamed of the ocean. Black, high tide, full moon.